We've got a question from B today, and it's regarding finger food. So, after a choking scare, how can you rebuild confidence back as a mum to keep building on the texture of different foods?
Okay.
Complex
So
one.
the first thing I'd be saying about that is we
Mm.
need to be very careful that the baby was actually choking and it wasn't gagging,
Mhm.
right? Choking and gagging can look really, really similar to a panicked parent.
Mhm.
Okay. So I have a YouTube video called Arms Up.
Ah, yes.
It's worth watching. I will link to it off this podcast, link to it
Mhm.
in the podcast notes.
Yep.
So let's go back to feeding your baby. When you first start feeding your baby, I say to feed your baby pureed food. And I say to feed your baby pureed food the whole way through to about 10 months. Because I have
Increasing the
observed
texture
the
over
texture.
time. Yep.
Because I have observed that if you feed your baby pureed food and then you start adding some lumps in, the baby, picture eating some nice smooth food and then all of a sudden having a pea-sized lump in it. The baby gets a fright and they're like, oh, and they gag and they get a fright and they go through food refusal.
Right.
So it's very important to always give them pureed food while you're feeding them off the spoon so that they can just take it, swallow it, take it, swallow it, take it, swallow it. If you give them lumpy food before 10 months, they suddenly go, what's that? And they gag and it actually scares them and it can cause food refusal.
Sure.
Okay.
Makes sense.
But it's really important that they learn to chew and they learn lumps and they learn to eat lumps. So I say right from the start, from when you very first start solids, start doing baby-led weaning.
Mhm.
So you follow a routine and you give them the set food in the book on what foods you give when, and you give it as puree.
Okay.
And the feeding book lists exactly how much they're supposed to have. And
And-
everybody is really, really shocked with the amount of food a baby eats. And then they get to 2 years old and they stop eating. Everybody panics because they're not eating.
Yes.
Yes, the amount of foods in the feeding book are a lot, and people
growing a lot.
get shocked.
Yes.
But that's what they need.
Yep.
And they're averages.
Yep.
So you give them food to chew on. So you give them food to suck and chew on, from which I call baby-led weaning, off the family table.
Okay.
So anything you're eating, you give to them.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if it's cooked in salt or it's cooked in chili powder or it's cooked. Obviously, you wouldn't want to burn their mouth off, but
yeah.
whatever your family
Yes,
eats,
okay.
you let them try it.
And
yeah,
this is after they've had
their
their
puree. Okay, it's really good to eat as a family. We eat as a family. I don't know when we started, but we eat as a family every single night. And it's when we talk about their day, we talk about things that have happened, we talk. My children have this habit, all children have this habit. You go upstairs, you say to them it's nighttime, it's time for bed, off you go to sleep. And then they go, oh, Mum, I just want to tell you about what happened at school today. Now, a lot of the time, they know as soon as they say this awful thing happened at school today, they've just bought an hour of you sitting there for 1 hour talking to them, and they're not going to sleep yet. So if you really, really, truly think your child has a concern, talk to them about it. If not, say to them, we're going to put that on the agenda for tomorrow night's dinner. And then you talk to them about it at dinner. And it's really, really, we sit as a family, but we eat nowhere except at our kitchen bench because Nathan's a clean freak. Kitchen bench, and we live in the country and we don't want mice.
Yep.
Kitchen bench or kitchen table, and we eat as a family. We have always eaten as a family.
Yeah.
Our children have never eaten in front of we don't really have a telly. They don't eat in front. We got tellies during COVID, but we've never. You didn't use them
It's
before
not in your
COVID.
main living area.
Anyway, right? So you feed them food from the family table. Yes, if it's cooked in salt, they're not going to absorb enough salt from chucking on it, from sucking on a
At the end,
on a chop,
after
sucking
they've
on a
eaten too, then
lamb
they'll
chop, or
be
sucking
eating a
on. You've
lot.
got to make sure it's not going to be like you wouldn't give them a croissant where it could go into a ball of dough and you've got to
Sure.
supervise them.
Yep.
Yep. If this child did choke, then you need to talk to your health professional about why your child choked, because it's not normal for babies to choke. It's
Okay.
normal for babies to gag.
Yes.
It's not normal for babies to choke. If they
Okay.
really, really have had a proper choke, and chokes are really bad. Do you know that grapes, regardless of whether they're cut into quarters, cut into halves, when the grape mixes with saliva, it swells. No child should eat a grape until over the age of 5. Half grapes, quarter grapes, full grapes,
Wow.
No child should eat a grape. Grapes, children die on choking on grapes.
Okay.
They get stuck in the airway and they swell and
Yes.
swell and swell.
Oh.
Now, so if your child is choking, Kieran chokes because he's got Marcus Gunn jaw wink syndrome, and for some reason, every time he eats calamari, he chokes really badly.
Wow.
Yes, if you give your child an inappropriate food like a
Yes.
grape or a piece of Frankfurt or something,
Yes.
they could choke.
Yes.
That's different. You know why they've choked. But if they're
Sure.
just choking on normal food,
Yes.
you need to work out why, and you need to talk to your health professional.
Because they have an exceptionally strong gag reflex
Yes.
naturally, so
Yes.
they shouldn't choke easier.
And you need to work out
us.
why they're choking. Now, because gagging and choking looks the same, if your child starts gagging, so they go, they're gagging, yeah, it's like a choke, okay? And it's still dangerous, and they can still die from it, okay? And I'm not medical. This is my non-medical advice, okay? If they are gagging, you grab their arms and pull them straight up in the air.
Okay.
And it moves the way the whole airway is, and the food normally pops out.
Okay.
Right?
This
And
is
they
on
might vomit.
You've done
okay?
a video.
And it's on the
Yes.
YouTube video, and it always gets lots of attention because people think, no, you should get them out of the high chair, bang them back. Now, you should. I like to use high chairs with no straps. My children have always learnt from very early on that they sit in the high chair and we sit with them. I don't sit them in the high chair and leave them.
Well,
okay?
I've never strapped the boys
And
either.
I don't like strapping them in because if you strap them in,
You can't get them out.
but if you've got a child who doesn't understand boundaries and climbs and what it's going to keep climbing up and whatever, you know, then you may have to strap them in. But baby Bjorn don't even have straps on their high chairs, you know. So strapping them in can be more dangerous because you can't get them out if they're gagging or choking. I'm not saying don't strap them in. I'm saying you've got to look at your own individual circumstances.
Yes.
If they're strapped in, you should have a strap where you've got one button, click, and all the straps open. And then try and lift them out by the arms. So if they're really choking and gagging, and it's a gag, it could actually be a real choke. If you grab their arms, so first of all, arms up. So if they start gagging, and every time I share this video, people say they've used it, they've tried it, they love it, and it worked. So they're gagging. Grab their arms, put their arms straight up in the air and go, arms up. And your children will start learning it, and they'll start doing it themselves, and they'll even start saying, arm up, and eventually arms up. If you hear them saying that, you realise they're gagging and they're in trouble, and you can turn to them, you know? So if it doesn't work, you undo the clip and grab them by their arms and lift them out of the high chair by arms up. And if it's still not working, you need to practice the first aid that you have learned as a parent, because every single parent has no excuse not to have done a first aid course. You have to do a first aid course. There is no excuse. You can do it online. You can do it in person. There is zero excuse to have not done a first aid course. Now, you probably find
I ought to.
that when you do a first aid course, you probably find that you won't need it for your own children because it's really hard to do first aid on your own children. But at least the other people in the community around you will have done it. You will be able to do first aid on other people and other people's children. But when it's your own child, you might just stand there and freeze and go, you know? So back to this mum with her choking. Make sure you've done a first aid course. Introduce the food. Make sure to learn the arms up and gagging. And you just have to do it. It's really hard. I mean, she wants to know how you build the confidence again. You just slowly do. But again, it depends on how the child choked, what the reason was. Did she suddenly start giving the child lumps in its food? Because that's not, the kid will gag. Will gag with that. So I hope we've helped you, Olivia,
I hope so,
with your
B.
question. Or B, sorry, B.
It's okay.
Olivia was last week's question.
Yeah. So, good advice there. And it's again, very Tizzie Hall. It's more preventative.
Yes.
So looking at the reason why that happened and, just slowly work your way up to it.
Just going back for a second to the family table.
Yeah.
We have obviously some people say they can't talk at the family table because they've got screens, but it's interesting because people have often said to me, and I feel like I get watched everywhere, that they see us in a restaurant as a family and we're all talking. And that's because that's probably the only time we do talk. We look like a perfect family in the evening at our family dinner because we always have a family dinner together.
Yeah, it's lovely.
You know, and it is really important.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a wrap for this week.
Or maybe for this series if we were someone
Or
else, but we're
maybe.
not.
Yeah,
So
no,
we
we're
will
gonna
be
keep
back
going.
for episode 13.
Yes.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.